our world is dynamic. It's expansive. It's fluid. It breathes, and we're a part of that magic and that wonder. And I really believe that this is a lot of what Tesla might have been talking about when he's talking about discovering and exploring the non-physical. Because once we do that, we'll learn more in a decade than we've learned in all of recorded history. And I think that this stuff is really probably an example to us, like, hey, this is what's possible. This is what's waiting if we just explore that. So it's kind of a romantic vision maybe, but I really think that this stuff is incredibly profound, and it's not just the sideshow of life. This isn't just the back alley of normal. This is the wonder. This is the mystery. This is the quest that still lies before us if we decide to look at this and examine what's going on and see what it can teach us. So that's why I started the Paranormal Portal, because I've had a lot of experiences myself. I've had quite a few, but the idea that, I want to understand this. I want to understand what I've been through, what I've experienced, what I've seen, and the things that I've gone through. Not that they've been traumatic or horrible, but they've left me in a state of, but I want to know what's going on. How did these things happen? What is the mechanics of this? And I want to understand. So the portal is kind of my discussion, my exploration, my journey into this weird, wonderful, amazing stuff to try to understand what's going on. And I really think before I started, I really thought that I could do a show like this because I know about, ghosts. I know about Bigfoot. I know about UFOs. But then you start down the rabbit hole and you start to realize all that you don't know. And anytime you come to some kind of understanding, then it spiderwebs into a million other things you don't know. And it's this expansive, ever-growing journey. And I just love it. I love doing it. I love diving into this stuff, and I love exploring the possibilities of this. So that's kind of the impetus behind me starting the Paranormal Portal.
Just love that awesome answer, and it was so fascinating to hear some of the things and how you explained it, like with the web-like imagery and the portal itself, and needing to find the answers, because that I just feel so kindred in spirit with you when I do discuss this with you, because I feel exactly like you do. Like, we can have all these amazing and strange or horrific things happen to us, but it's like we need to find the answers. I can't just walk away from what is this? What happened here? So I love how you explain that so eloquently. It's just fascinating, and that's why I actually love your show, because I'm hooked on it. If I could actually stay up and watch it every time, I'd be right there with every single person every day that you have a show. But I just can't. I have to watch the reruns. So can you tell me, I don't exactly know the correct date, but when did you actually start Paranormal Portal? Wasn't that long ago, like 7 years?
Yeah, I think my first show ever was in 2016. I started it on Truth Frequency Radio Network under Chris and Sheree Geo, and I still have a show that's there. I simulcast some of my YouTube shows over there, 2 of them every week. But yeah, that's where it started, and yeah, it's been a quite a journey, but it's been also a baptism by fire in a lot of ways too.
Yeah. I totally understand that. And shout out to Chris Geo and his wife, because that's, one of the connections I had with you is Truth Frequency Radio and our wonderful Kev Dave Baker on KBS. So it was kind of through him that I think that's how we got our connection, because I think he in spirit sent you to me. So I really think that. So basically, then you do. You're not just solely, or how do I say that? You're not just on Truth Frequency Radio. You have your own kind of network, or just the YouTube and all that, and the podcast. So you can just simultaneously send to them.
Well, so the YouTube show is actually quite a bit different than the podcast. So the YouTube is the live stream shows, and I treat those more like, I do have guests on from time to time, but usually I treat those more like variety shows where I cover lots of different things, do the Paranormal Portal News, do Discord group conversations that I post questions in the Discord group, and then we go over it on the live show. And then I dive into stories and discuss cryptids and ghosts and all that stuff. So that's the general format for the YouTube show, which is a lot of fun. And the live chat, of course, is a great part of that. I mean, I have this wonderful community of people that continually come back and have these amazing conversations, sometimes actually about what I'm talking about, which is nice. Sometimes I'll be neck deep in stories about ghosts or Bigfoot, and I'll look down and they're discussing soup recipes. But that's the beauty of the community. It's like sometimes they're right with you. But I mean, since I've done the Discord thing, they're really tied in and dialed in with what it is. So I think a lot of that was my learning curve too as a host. You know, how to integrate all of these elements into a show that is cooperative. And so I think I'm improving a bit on that. But the podcasts are generally me interviewing sometimes celebrities, but most often it's people that have had experiences, people that have been through things much like yourself. And you of course, were a guest on one of my podcast episodes as well, and talking about everything you experienced. And I really love that, because that to me is really the bread and butter of it all, is to talk to people that have been through these things. And there's a few reasons why. One of which, because I think a lot of times when people have been through traumatic paranormal experiences, they feel like they're in a bubble. They feel like they're all alone. And there's a stigma attached to that, where it's like, well, who am I going to talk to about this? You know, I can't go tell my friends about it. They'll think I, hit my head too hard, or I'm not, been huffing paint. And then, so they're kind of in their own place. And so they may hear somebody come on the show and talk about their experiences. And so often after shows, I get these emails like, wow, I heard the guest you just had on, and I experienced something like that too, and I'd love to talk to you about it. And then it becomes this really cathartic group therapy kind of thing, where people are able to put down these things they've been carrying sometimes for decades with nobody to share it with, because they don't have those connections in their lives, but then they find the community. And the other part of it is that I love talking to experiencers, because every one of them teaches me something new. Like, everybody can watch a cereal bowl move, but each person watching it may tell you a little bit different version about how it moved. And somebody may notice a detail somebody else didn't. And so many times in hearing people explain their experiences and what they saw, how it behaved, what happened, the who, what, where, why, whens, it'll just make a light bulb go off in my head. It's like, oh, well, that kind of helps me understand this other question I had in my head. And it just turns out to be this really neat give and take and the sharing, and that expands, and it's just almost geometric. It's just really fascinating. And I love talking to people, especially about this stuff. When I first started doing it, I didn't really talk about my own experiences much, but then I started diving into my experiences, and I was nervous about that, because I have had a lot of experiences, but at the same time, I was nervous, like, well, is that going to sound just too convenient? Like, oh, sure, you got a paranormal show and you've got a bunch of experiences, of course, but I went on a limb one day and just started talking about it a little bit on some of my shows, and the response I got was just so amazing. Like, wow, I really loved it when you talked about that. It really made me feel like you understand, and it created this synergy between myself and the audience. And I think that was a great thing as well. So it's just been this incredible journey of this amazing topics of wonder. And I couldn't be more grateful for finding my place, and finding my path, finding my lane.
I agree totally with you, and I feel that you're so spot on with the people that, like myself and like you, once we've had these experiences or lived in a house that has ghosts, or spirits or entities or energies or whatever, the name could be, it is very difficult to speak about it. It is very difficult to get people to believe you. I actually feel very good right now because I feel like with everything that's happened with our life and experience, I've been extremely validated, and I've had documented evidence and all these things. So I think I'm one of the lucky ones because of that. There's a lot of people that have not gone to that level, like you're speaking of, that people just, they don't want to share their experiences. And so I think you do offer a wonderful outlet for that with what you're doing, because I love all of the stories that you tell, and you'll actually tell the real stories, real ghost stories. It's one of my favorite parts of your shows when you tell the story. So there's something new, though, happening with you that I know we should talk about, and that is the documentary that you are participating in. Can you? And I saw the promo for it, and it was just outstanding.